Hey everyone, and welcome to Top Think. Today we're going to learn about how to create the future you want. Now, let's begin. Number 1, finding the one. To create your ideal future, you need to find the one. Now, I'm not talking about your soulmate. I'm talking about the one skill, one project, or one habit that will help you realize your goals. This concept comes from best-selling author Gary Keller, who realized that every success story begins with one thing, one new skill, one new habit, one hurdle that you're trying to overcome. Now, building your future may sound like an impossible feat. How does someone develop their career, start their family, and shape their lifestyle all at once? These lofty dreams may overwhelm you with questions, responsibilities, and doubts. You don't know the rules, you don't know where to start, so you try to accomplish a million things at the same time. But you don't need to accomplish all these things to create the future you've always wanted. You only need to focus on one. Right now, ask yourself this question: what is the one thing I can do to improve my life? If you're feeling unsatisfied in your career, think about how to start yourself on a new path. If you're struggling with bad habits, think about how you can reshape your routines. Starting today, this is your one thing. Now, over the next 6 months, you're going to focus on making this one thing, and only this one thing, a reality. Don't worry about your other goals. Don't worry about the things you're not doing, because concentrating on one thing will help you accomplish that one thing. Instead of wishing you could transition your career, you could take the first step toward a job you love. Instead of wishing you had healthier habits, you could knock the first of your bad habits off your list. Then, when you've accomplished your one thing, you can move on to the next thing. You can do it all over again. Spend 6 more months doing something else. Commit, focus, block out everything else. Until you've learned this new skill or overcome this obstacle, you only have one priority. And just like that, you'll never waste another year stuck in the same spot. You won't let yourself get intimidated by all the possibilities. You've used the last 12 months to propel yourself forward, to launch your life into the future that you've always wanted, all by focusing on one thing. Number 2, the 100 rule. Do you give up when something doesn't go your way? Do you try maybe once or twice and then throw in the towel? Well, most people do. Most people aspire to learn, grow, and improve, but they don't have the persistence to change. They abandon their dreams after failing once. They convince themselves that they're not good enough, they don't know enough, or they aren't talented enough. But there is an efficient and straightforward way to learn and accomplish anything. You simply do it 100 times. The 100 rule will be your guide to a brighter future. It helps you narrow down your goals and then pushes you to grow as an individual. It challenges you to overcome your own fears while gradually teaching you to embrace repetition. All right, let's say you want to start your own podcast. You've always dreamed of running and starring in your own show, but you haven't made any concrete steps to get there. You've tried once or twice to record an episode, but it never turns out the way you want. If you really want your own podcast, you need to ask yourself this simple question: would I be willing to do this 100 times? Would I be willing to practice by recording 100 episodes of my podcast? If the answer is no, you may not be very motivated or committed to this dream. If the answer is yes, your perseverance is going to help you learn about your craft and open new doors for your success. Because any ambition, no matter what or where, requires tons of practice. In the beginning, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to judge yourself or gauge your own progress. That takes time, practice, and a whole lot of patience. The 100 rule gives you all three. So pick your aspiration, challenge your motivation, and start practicing today. Number 3, be realistic. Sometimes goals and dreams are not worth pursuing. We often fantasize about lofty ambitions that we'll never accomplish, not because we can't, but because they're just not realistic. All right, let's define this term realistic. This is a word that gets thrown around a lot when discussing success. Maybe you see a job that's far above your pay grade and you think, oh, that's just not realistic. Maybe you envision yourself pursuing a career in the arts, but you give up because it wasn't realistic. This is not the kind of realistic we're talking about. In this context, realistic is self-defeating, pessimistic, and discouraging. You're using the term to describe a dream that you don't have the confidence to pursue. But fear should never prevent you from chasing your dreams. No goal is too lofty, too difficult, or too unlikely. However, some dreams just don't make sense for you as an individual. This is the kind of realistic you should pay attention to. Let's say you dream of a career in the arts, yet you don't spend much time doing creative things. Maybe you dream of being the first man on Mars, yet you've never liked anything scientific. These dreams are unrealistic because they aren't a good match for your individual passions. They may sound fun and fulfilling, but they don't make sense for you. That's why, if you want to create your future, it's important to be realistic. Chase the dreams and goals that are right for you. Don't waste time pursuing the arts if you're not passionate about the arts. Don't pursue a career simply because you like the idea or lifestyle. Instead, concentrate on subjects, hobbies, and causes that light your fire. Spend time getting to know yourself and your genuine aspirations, and that way you can choose the right direction for your lifelong success. Number 4. Rewrite your story. Everyone has a story. Everyone has struggled in their own way. You've faced roadblocks in your life. You've been held back, labeled, and judged. You've stumbled, you flopped, and you make mistakes. Everyone has a history full of failures and obstacles. But those obstacles do not define you. Your past does not control you, and your story can always change. One of the most effective ways to shape your future is to revisit your past. You have to separate yourself from the labels, obstacles, and expectations that have held you back. To find your ideal future, you have to free yourself from the limitations of your story. All right, let's say years ago you started your own business. You poured everything into this project. You chased success. You reached for the stars, and you thought for just a moment that your dreams would come true. But you fell flat on your face. Your business went bankrupt, your aspirations crumbled, and you began to tell yourself a story of failure. You failed once, so you convince yourself that you'll fail for life. But what if you told the same story in a different way? Instead of concentrating on your failures, let's focus on your successes. You were an entrepreneur pursuing success with reckless abandon. You were a courageous dreamer overcoming your doubts and fears. You were a dedicated businessman learning from your own mistakes. All three of these stories describe the same person. Yeah, you failed. Yeah, something negative happened in your past, but there are plenty of positives too. To create the future that you've always wanted, you need to find the silver lining in your past, and you need to use that silver lining to motivate your success in the present. For better or for worse, your story got you where you are today. Your story set you on a path toward reinvention, progress, and success. Remember that every new day, every new moment is a chance to rewrite your history, to change the direction of your life, and to begin building the future you've always wanted. You should never let past mistakes convince you otherwise. Number 5. Eliminate and streamline. In life, you'll learn many things. You'll explore new subjects. You'll adopt new skills. You'll dive headfirst into passion projects and immerse yourself in new lifestyles. To create the future you want, it's important to recognize when an idea, a habit, or lifestyle has become outdated. As you venture into unknown territory, your opinions may change 1,000 times. One day you'll insist that you know the best way of doing something, but overnight, new knowledge can flip your world on its head. That's why it's so important to refine and streamline your life. Be willing to get rid of things that don't make sense anymore. According to a number of successful people, clinging to outdated concepts is a recipe for disaster. People who live stubbornly in the past stay in the past. But people who grow and change over time excel into the future. So take a look at the habits you maintain, the ideas you support, and the values you abide by. Instead of blindly following what you know, challenge your traditions. Ask yourself if your habits, opinions, and values still make sense in your life. Some ideas will stick with you for decades, others will come and go. But the most important thing is, you're willing to learn and change. And as you pursue your dreams, your ability to change will keep you moving in the right direction. Hey, thank you for watching Top Think, and be sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.